Hello everyone, and welcome to Closing the Sale webinar. This is Brenda Asher, one of your council co-colonels, and we're going to walk you through all of the steps for closing your sale successfully this year. Before we begin, I do want to apologize that this came out much later than we were hoping. For a couple of different reasons. We had some technical difficulties getting it recorded for you, but also we ran into some snags with the Trails and system being slightly different than it's been in the past as far as how everything is going to be entered, and we needed to make sure all of that was clear for us so that we could share it clearly for you. So this video is going to be helpful not only for new colonels this year, but also for all of the returning colonels that have been doing this for several years now, as there is a little bit of a change in the steps and the order of the steps as far as closing your sale successfully. So let's go ahead and get started. I will explain this PowerPoint is a lot of reading, and I wanted to give it to you so that you could go back and refer to it in written format. But we will also be going into the website, and I will be demonstrating live with that as well, and sharing another tool with you as well. So all of that combined will be what this webinar is composed of. So closing our sale, we're going to be talking about how to identify your online sales, how to enter your scout allocations, how to adjust your final order and submit it to council, submitting a returns form, and submitting a prize order. All right, so I have your closing the sale checklist here, and we're going to read through that. I will be giving you further details about it as we go through this webinar, but let's just go through this checklist first and just kind of give you an order of what needs to happen as you're getting ready to close your sale, the steps that are involved. And this is also a document that's on the website, quivira.org, that you could go in and print yourself a copy and use those check boxes to keep track of where you're at in your process if you'd like to do that. So you're closing the sale checklist. The first thing that you're going to do is receive your Scouts clipboard orders from them. You're also going to receive all popcorn back from the Scouts who have it checked out for Red Wagon. For units that placed a pre-order, you need to inventory all product that has been returned to you and subtract the amount of each returned product from the amount that has been ordered by clipboard method. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how to go through that process here in a little bit. The next thing is to determine your final order in both full cases and containers. And you are going to be able to order both full cases and containers on your final order. I know that when you ordered pre-order, you had to order only full cases, but at the end of the sale, we want it to come out as perfectly as possible to what you actually need, and so you'll be able to order cases and containers. For each Scout, you're going to record all sales for all methods, and you'll see an example there. After adding all sales together, have Scouts choose their prize according to what their sales total is. Record their choice, as well as adding any bonus prizes earned. Tally all prizes of the same type so that it will be easier to record them in your prize order later. Document all of this information that we have just talked about on a final popcorn reconciliation spreadsheet. This is just a helpful tool to combine all of this information that we've just gone over for final reporting and entering that information into the Trails in system and putting your prize order into submitting that to council later as well. This is, for some of you colonels that have been around for a while, you may have your own information gathering tool, and that's fine, but I wanted to put this out there so that it was a helpful tool that for those that may not have one, to just help you be organized. And I'll go over that in just a little bit in more detail. All right. So the first thing you're going to do this year, and it's kind of a little bit backwards from in years past, but the first thing you're going to have to do this year is to enter your Scout allocations in the Trails in system. So before we do that, you need to go in and clean up your Scout list. And that means that you need to delete any Scouts that are no longer in your unit. Maybe they've aged out, or maybe they moved away. And then you also need to add new scouts that may have moved into your unit. And as you work through this process on Trails End, you always need to make sure you hit the Save Changes button anytime you do anything, or you'll be going back and repeating your steps over and over if you forget to save the changes before you move to a different screen. You're also going to, at that point, once you have your scout list completely edited and you've got all your scouts' names in there that are current in your unit, you're going to combine your scout sales totals for both Red Wagon and storefront sales, and you're going to enter it in the first column, which is titled Show and Deliver. And we're going to take a look at this all in a minute, and I'm going to be able to show it to you on the website. Just wanted to go through the checklist first and kind of give you in order the steps that you're going to go through. You're going to enter each scout's final take order on the order sheet provided beside his name. The online sales go in a separate column as well. Enter those in the online sales column for each scout. Remember to save changes as you go. All right, as you enter each individual scout order, it will automatically populate your order on the take order form. Now, this is how it differs from in years past. So for some of you colonels that have been doing this for a while, this is the steps that are different. You need to do your allocations page first, and when you're doing that allocations page, it's going to begin to automatically populate your order on the take order form. Once you've entered all your scouts' clipboard orders on the allocation page, you need to remember this last very, very important step, and that is to go to your take order form, your take order page that you'll be submitting to council later, and subtract all of your leftover inventory that you may have left from your pre-order from that final unit order before you submit it. You're going to save and submit to council. Then you're going to submit a returns form to council. Even if your unit had no returns, a form must be submitted. So I need to see a form from every single unit out there. And if you did not have returns, just mark no returns on it in big bold letters and get it into us. The last thing you're going to do is place your prize order. This is not part of the Trails End system. You will not do it on Trails End. This will be a fillable form that you will find on the council website. You'll enter your prizes there and submit it to the council. All right, so that's your checklist. Before you begin working on Trails End, please have all of the following ready. Your completed final popcorn reconciliation worksheet, which that or another way of organizing all of your information in one area so that you're not having to flip through so many different pieces of paper as you're doing this process. If you have it all gathered into one document, it's much easier for you to keep everything straight when you're getting ready to enter it into Trails End. So, before you begin with Trails End, have your completed final popcorn reconciliation spreadsheet, which would include the following pieces of information: all orders calculated for each scout, skip down all prize orders for each scout, table sale allocations for each scout from your storefront sales division calculator sheet, your total inventory that you have left from your show and deliver order, and your sales report from the online selling system, which we'll talk about in just a moment as far as how to find that out. Now, going back up here to this reminder, to the reminder under all orders calculated for each scout, I want to point out this reminder right here. When your order forms are turned in by your scouts, be sure that all product that's on that order form is only product that the scout has not delivered. If they were going door to door and they wrote people's names down because they wanted to go back next year and remember that that customer bought from them, they may have delivered that popcorn and left that name on there. To be sure that there are no mistakes made, make sure those names maybe they can make a copy of it and scratch out the ones that have been delivered. However you want to do that, but just make sure that whatever product is on that order form that's turned in is the product that they actually need to deliver. If it has already been delivered, it should not be included in your final order. All right, so you'll also need your username and password for the popcorn system. If you do not have that yet, maybe you didn't place a pre-order and so you haven't ever tried to get into the system yet. If you need that, please contact Rebecca at rwrace299@gmail.com and she can help you with that process. All right, so once you have all that information gathered, we're going to go ahead and go in now and talk about how to utilize the Trails In system. So the first thing that we're going to do is determining your online sales. Okay, to determine your online sales, you're going to log into your leader account on Trails End, and you're going to click on Reports. At the Reports tab, you're going to go down and you're going to choose Online Sales Report. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. This is what that screen will look like. All right, so let me go ahead and go over here to Trails End. Bring that up. As I said before, you would click on the Reports tab. When that Reports comes up, you're going to go down to the bottom right here to where it says Online Sales Report. You're going to click on that. All right. Then it's going to say, please select your district. So you're going to go in and you're going to select your district. And once you've selected your district, it's going to ask you to please select your unit. Now, my unit, in this case, as I'm showing you this, is not listed. The reason it is not listed is because I never registered my unit as an online sales unit. That is because I have very limited number of scouts and none of them were interested in using the online method. However, if you know that your unit, if any of your families, any of your scouts have told you that they're using the online method and you do not see your name on this list or your number, your unit number, you will have to contact Rebecca and she will have to register you as an online selling unit. Once you're registered as an online selling unit, then you'll be able to click on your unit. And this isn't going to let me because that's not my unit. So I'm going to go back. And so what I'm telling you is, unless you're registered, you're not going to be able to see your unit here. And so I can't go any further because my unit isn't registered. But let's go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint, because I do have some information in here as to what you need to expect to see if your unit is in there. So you'll see here it says select your district from the drop-down menu, which I had done. Select your unit from the drop-down menu, which I could not do because I was not registered. And I put a note there, if you do not see your unit listed as not registered as doing online sales, contact Rebecca and she'll help get you registered. If your unit is there and you click on it, a report will download automatically. Open up that report and you should see a list of all online sales by scout. If the report downloads and it is blank, that means no online sales have been made by your scouts. Okay, so you'll see the spreadsheet come up, but there'll be nothing on it. And if that's the case, that means no online sales have been made. For an example of what an online sales report might look like for a particular unit that has had boys that had online sales, we'll take a look at this one right here. You'll see that the scouts are listed over here. Looks like 3 or 4 different scouts have sold the online method for this unit. We'll also see that it's divided out depending on what day these were made. On 9/19, Gabe had a order for $25, and again down here on 10/2 he had another one. And so I'd take all of Gabe's order totals and I would add them all up so that I knew how much Gabe sold on the online method, and I would have those numbers added up and put together, and I can enter them into my final reconciliation spreadsheet, which is the next thing that we're going to talk about right now. Let's take a look at that spreadsheet and see how it's put together to help you understand how to utilize that. All right, so here is that spreadsheet. Let me go back to the beginning of it. Okay, on this far left side, you're going to enter all your scouts' names. And so I'm going to go ahead and just do an example here for you. I'm going to enter Tommy. And then you're going to go across and you've taken Tommy's order form You've double checked to make sure that everything on Tommy's order form is something that needs to still be delivered. And now you're going to enter all of his totals from his order form all the way across. So let's say that Tommy had one $30 military donation. He sold 2 chocolate lovers. He sold 4 sweet and savory. He sold a couple of cheese lovers and some white pretzels. These are items he didn't have on hand because we didn't have them. He had an extra order for kettle. He had a few extra orders for unbelievable. 3 butter light, 1 caramel with nuts, 1 white cheddar, 1 jalapeno, 6 of those, and 2 popping. Now, your clipboard sales total will populate right here in this column. The reason that it hasn't at this point is because it is missing the formula, and I do apologize for in this video I'm not going to be able to show you that it will populate, but when you get onto the online version of this popcorn reconciliation sheet, it will do that math for you, and that clipboard sales total should be right here. For Tommy, let's just say when I add up all those products, and obviously I'm not going to sit here and figure it out on my calculator while I'm talking, so let's just plunk a number in there. Let's say that that is $860 worth of product. All right. So now that number, that clipboard sales total number of 860 should be what you collected from Tommy for his clipboard order form. So it should match what you collected from him. All right, then you're going to go in, and Tommy helped with a storefront sale. And he worked twice, and for each time he worked he earned $75. So I'm going to put $150 in there for Tommy for his cut of the storefront sales total. He also did Red Wagon sales and sold $350 that method. Tommy had 1 online sale of $45. And then when I come over here, and this does populate the total at this time, we just are missing the formula on this column over here, which we've fixed for you, and so when you get online it'll work for you. But this is Tommy's total sales then. Adding up all 4 methods of sales, Tommy's total sale will be here. Now you can go on over, and based on his total sales, Tommy would earn a certain prize level. If you're a prize unit, you could add his prize choice in here. You could also add whatever bonus prize Tommy would have earned, which it's the second bonus prize level, so he'd earn a $25 gift card. And you know, I do need to note in here too what kind of gift card he's choosing. He's choosing a $25 Walmart gift card, so I put a W there. And then Tommy had $24 in donations, and I'm going to put it there so that later on when I get ready to add money to his account, if our unit does scout accounts, I can add that into Tommy's scout account. All right. Now, once you've done that for each of your scouts, all the way down the spreadsheet, it will calculate them at the bottom for you. So down here in your totals column, you will see that all of Tommy's are already there. If I was to go in and add another scout in here, let's do Ethan. And Ethan, I'm just going to go across and enter some numbers quickly so that you, just for the sake of example. If you will watch, as I do that, these numbers change. Watch this number as I add the next one. I'm adding 3 there, it becomes 4. I'm adding 7, it becomes 8. So those are automatically calculating for you all the way across. All right, so now you know that once you have everybody's name in on all of their orders all the way across, you'll have your total number that you need. Now, you need to subtract any leftover inventory that you might have had. You did a pre-order, you had $200 worth of inventory left. Let's say you had 1 cheese lovers left, and let's say you had 1 kettle corn left, and let's say you had 2 of the original caramels left. So when you get ready to do your final order, you're going to subtract those out of what you need. So you need one $50 military donation, you need 5 $30 military donations, you need 7 of these, 7 of these, but on this column for cheese lovers, you needed 4 on the order forms, you had 1 left over, so now you're going to put a 3 in there because that's really what you need. Now, take notice that your leftover inventory is in containers. Your final order total will be in containers as well. So 12 containers, not 12 cases. And when you get ready to do your final order, you'll need to make sure you take that into account. All right? So, I believe that pretty much explains this particular order form and how, or this particular spreadsheet and how it will work for you to help you. I will refer back to it again when I'm explaining another part of the process on the trails and side. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to our spreadsheet, or not our spreadsheet, our PowerPoint. I'm sorry, got a little distracted there. All right, preparing to enter your scout allocations. We're moving on back into the Trails End website to show you some more there. So we're going to prepare to enter your scout allocations by logging in. You're going to click on Leaders. You're going to click to access the popcorn system, and then you're going to log in. All right, and then to create or update your scout list, you're going to go to Scouts. And then these 3 pages that I have in the PowerPoint don't show very well on my screen. They'll show better on your own PowerPoint. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over them here and go actually to the website and just show it to you there to make it easier to understand. So let's go ahead and go back to the Trails End website. And as I said, we need to click on Scouts. All right, and then that arrow that you couldn't see where the end of it was pointing to Edit Scouts. This is where we're going to go in and we're going to add or delete scouts. So I'm going to click on Edit Scouts and show you that process. All right, so I had 3 or 4 boys that are no longer in my unit, and so I click right here to delete the ones that are no longer in my unit, and I save changes. You'll see when it pops back up, those scouts will no longer be there. All right, now let's say I had some new scouts come in. I need to add them into my system. I can either add them one at a time in this box, or if I have several to add, which most of you will, you can go down here to this Add Multiple Scouts button, click on that. It will ask you what is the number of scouts you want to add, and I'm going to say I want to add 3. Generate multiple form, and you can add as many as you need to at the same time, and it's easier this way because you don't have to wait for it to save every time. You can just go in, fill in all of these fields, and move through it quickly. Now let's say that you have a scout, whoops, need to learn how to type, that you have a scout that has the same last initial as someone else. You have 3 Ethan M's. So this Ethan M, you're going to put his middle initial right here after his name. Ethan R, and then his last initial is M. And this is how you're going to differentiate them on your sheet. And then we have another Ethan. His middle initial is T, and his last initial is M. And that is how we're going to differentiate those boys that you may have that have the same first and last initial. All right, I'm going to save my multiple entries, and now those scouts have been added to my list. Once I am finished adding and deleting all scouts, I'm going to save all changes, and then I'm going to ask to view my scout list, and I'm going to be ready to go back to this page, and this is where I'm going to begin my allocations. I am ready to begin entering my allocations now. Now, according to, if we go back to our PowerPoint, this is where we left off, entering your scout allocations. And so I'm just going to take you through the steps. Well, in fact, I'm not even going to read this to you and go through the steps this way. I do want you to see, though, that I have each of those steps written out in a written format so that you can read over that. But if it's more helpful for you to watch it, I'm going to be showing it to you also online. So these are all the steps for entering those allocations. And then I will have the steps for adjusting your final order and submitting it to the council. And then at the very end here, we're going to talk about submitting a returns form and a prize order. All right, so let's go back to the website and I'll take you through all of the allocation steps and the final order steps. All right, now some of this I've already done for some of my scouts, but it's not going to change our process right now. I'm going to explain exactly what you're seeing here, and we're going to go walk through it. So my unit, this particular unit, Crew 487, ordered $1,200 in pre-ordered popcorn. You'll see up here that my unit sold $1,000 of that $1,200 that we ordered. We did storefront sales and we did red wagon sales. And between my scouts, these 3 scouts right here that worked really, really hard to get rid of that popcorn, they sold 1,000 of it. And so I've entered their allocation here. Heidi, Nate, and scout number 1 all sold. And you'll see that that $1,000 has been allocated out to each of them. $600 that Heidi sold, $200 that Nate sold, and another $200 that this scout sold. All right? So you'll see that my allocation remaining right here, right beneath those boxes and above the grand totals line, here's my grand totals line, the allocation remaining above that line is 0. That's because for the $1,000 that we sold, I've allocated every bit of it out and we're at 0 now. However, as I said before, we ordered $1,200, and so you'll see down here below the grand totals line that my allocation remaining is $200. What this $200 is here for is to remind me that I have $200 left later, and I've got to adjust my final order when it comes time to put my order together. And so that is what that number is there for. This is the number, though, that has to be at 0. All right? So once you have allocated out all of your show and deliver order, now the show and deliver order is going to include both red wagon and storefront sales. So back on your spreadsheet, it's going to include your storefront column, R, and your red wagon column, S. So you're going to add those 2 columns together for each scout, and that is what you're going to enter in this show and deliver column right here for each scout name. All right, the next column you're going to fill in is your take order column. This year that looks different. For those of you who are returning colonels, we've always had boxes here in the past. This year, it's going to be a virtual order form. So you're going to click on that virtual order form, and this is going to be Ethan R. M. His order. Waiting for my computer to get there. All right, so this is Ethan's order form. Now, I could go in and enter every single order that Ethan's giving me, but that's gonna take me a lot of time. Excuse me, especially from some of you bigger units that have maybe 70 scouts out there selling. So instead of that, I have Ethan's totals on my reconciliation sheet. Right here, I added Ethan's totals into my sheet. Right here's Ethan. And here's all of his totals. So all I need to do when I'm getting ready to do this is right here under customer name, I'm going to put entire order form. And then I'm going to go across, and I spelled that wrong, but you get the idea. All right. And it could have done it automatically for me, but I didn't see that either. Anyway, here we go. So You could take that, you'd have your spreadsheet laying beside you, you'd be able to follow along Ethan's line, and you'd be able to quickly just add in whatever Ethan's order was. And I don't remember what it was, and I'm not looking at that sheet right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and plunk some numbers in there randomly to show you. If you watch the end down here where it shows amount due, you're going to see that it's automatically generating the amount due, which should match that column on the reconciliation spreadsheet. So you've got Ethan's entire order form. These are all the different products he needs to order. This is the amount due, which if we click over here to our reconciliation sheet, should be this number right here at the end of Ethan's order line. That number and the one on his order form that you're creating online on Trails End should match. If it matches, you're going to go over here and you're going to approve it. You'll see a check mark appear in that box. There it is. And then you're going to save changes. Okay, and for whatever reason, it's asking me to enter a name. I think it's just because I have a $0 over here. I'm just going to go over and get rid of that $0. Oops. Well, let's just put in a name to make it happy. Okay. Okay. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Oh. Let's go back. I apologize. I haven't had this happen to me before, so I need to go in and figure out what's going on and why that 0 is there. Well, you know what? To make my order form happy, I'm going to change this to 2 up here. And I'm going to put one of those down here, which will still make my number at the bottom equal 3, which is what I needed to begin with. And hopefully that will make my order form happy. I'm going to approve there, I'm going to approve there, and I'm going to save changes. And I'm not quite sure what's not right now. It's saying you must enter a customer name for line 7. I did that. I approved it, and it's still saying that there's an error. Let's go back to Scouts. Says that it's an approved order form right here. That check mark right there says that it's an approved order form, and it shows $13.85, which was Ethan's total. So I'm not quite sure what was going on with that. Go back over here. It looks good at this point. Save the changes again. Now it saved it. And now I'm back to the Scout form. So my apologies. I'm not quite sure what that glitch was. It did work itself out. Let's go ahead and go in and do another one and see if it goes a little smoother this time. So click on order form. We're going to put in entire order form. We're going to add those numbers in. Okay, this Scout sold $710. These are the items he needs. I double check it on my reconciliation spreadsheet. Sure enough, that's accurate. I approve it, and I save changes. think my computer's just working slow right now. Okay, I've saved those changes. I go back to my Scout page, and sure enough, right here beside my other Ethan, his order form is now approved for $710. All right. Now, as you can see, I've already entered Heidi's order form. Her order form, I'll go and take a look at that and show you. I entered these items in for a total of $365. You'll see right here, she sold 600 by the show and deliver method. She sold 365 with her order form. She sold $35 with an online sale for a total of $1,000. So her total retail is $1,000. And as you go through and you enter all of this information, you can continue to cross-check with your popcorn reconciliation spreadsheet. And that final total of $1,000 for Heidi would have been in this line right here under total sales. Each Scout's total sales number should match the final total retail line in this form. All right? So that is how you enter your allocations. As long as your allocation is remaining for show and deliver, this is the amount you sold. You've allocated everything out. You came to zero. You've added their order forms in. You add their online sales in. And your sales totals should all equal what you've got documented already. You save those allocations. Again, I'm waiting on my computer. It should, when it saves, it should do that. It should blink so that I know it saved it. All right. So the only thing I have remaining left on my allocations is below the grand totals line. And I see here that I have $200 allocation remaining. That's a leftover product that I still have sitting in my home or in my chartered organization closet. And I have to account for that $200. The way that I'm going to account for that $200 is by going to my final order. Now, as I told you before, we're going to click on order here. We're going to click on unit order for take order. This is where all those order forms were populating all of the columns. As you see, there's already numbers in here. The numbers that have been entered are off of those order forms that I entered in to the system already. All right? So all of those order forms that I put in here are here. However, whatever I have left over, and if you remember on my reconciliation sheet, I had said I had 1 cheese lovers left over here, and so I really only needed to order 3 instead of 4. Now this isn't going to match what's on Trail's End because I've added different numbers in there randomly. But let's just go down here to the cheese lovers. Here we go. It says that on my order forms altogether I needed 9. But remember, I had that 1 cheese lover left over. So I don't want to order 9, I only want to order 8. So I'm going to come over here to my containers and I'm going to subtract 1. And you do have to put the -1. Okay? And when I get out of that, when I click to the side, you'll now see that it says my actual order to council is 8 with -1 container. This right here is going to be your extra product, the extra product that you have left over, your remaining inventory. This column right here is going to be the actual order you're going to submit. So double check these numbers and make sure they're accurate according to your final column or your final row on your reconciliation spreadsheet. And I'll go back to that real quick just to make sure you know where I'm at. Your final order totals. Now these are by container, so you do need to make sure that when you're ordering, let's say right here with Butter Light, it looks like 14 containers. Let's say I had 4 left over. That means I need 10 containers. Now 10 containers would be 1 case plus 4. So when I go over here, I need says I need 0. let's just choose a different one here. 18. Let's do 18. Looks like 18 containers, which equals 3 cases. All right, or 2 case. Okay, I had already made adjustments the last time I was in this system, and I apologize because now this is going to confuse you. But let's go ahead and take that adjustment out. 18 containers was 3 cases. I needed 3 cases because each case holds 6. So I needed exactly 3 cases. But let's say I had 1 left over. I had 1 kettle corn left over. I'm going to subtract that kettle corn, and now instead of 3 cases, I'm going to be ordering 2 cases and 5 containers because I'm ordering 1 less because that's what's left over. So I hope that makes sense to you. If you do not go in and you do not make the adjustments for your leftover inventory, then you will be ordering too much, because when your order forms are entered, it's populating this automatically and it's not taking into account what you have left over. And so you have to go in this year and make the adjustment in this colorful pre-order adjustment column and adjust it with a negative value so that you'll know exactly what you're ordering. And this actual order to council column right here is the column that you're going to look for to make sure that you are ordering exactly what you need to fill every order to the exact number of containers. Now at the bottom, oh, and then double check your column also to make sure that this matches what your leftover inventory has, because this is your excess product. Before you can submit your order, you are going to have to put in the number of active scouts and the number of selling scouts for the year. Otherwise, you will get a message when you get ready to save and submit that says that you haven't filled in all the fields. All right, so I'm going to save my changes. It pops up and tells me that this action is not actually submitting my order. It is only saving my changes for future use, and that I must separately submit the order to council. That's okay with me because I'm not done with my sale yet. All right. Okay. And when you are finally finished, and it's saved now, when you are finally finished, you've made all your adjustments, you've double checked your actual order to council, you've double checked your column to make sure that it matches what you have left over. You are then ready to hit your submit to council button. Now I'm not going to do that at this point because I don't want to submit my units order yet. But that it will be your final step. All right. I believe that pretty much explains everything on the trails inside of things. Again, like I said on our PowerPoint here, I've written it all out in Word form as well. And here's adjusting your final order and submitting to council. Those things that I just talked to you about. It talks to you about the columns and where to make those adjustments, and all of those things that I just mentioned as I was going through it live as well. All right, the last thing you're going to do is submit a returns form. Well, one of the last things you're going to do is submit a returns form. And again, I mentioned that all units must submit, whether they've returned product or not. And the form can be found on our website. And then you're also going to need to submit a prize order. If you're a prize unit, be sure to collect the prize choice from each scout when they submit their final order, and it'll make it easier for yourself. And the form is not on the website yet, but we will have it up by the time the sale has ended. All right, so I think that pretty much covers all of the different steps for closing your sale for the year. Please contact us, Rebecca or I, Brenda, and ask questions about any part of this process. We're also going to make sure that we've covered everything very carefully and that our district colonels understand it completely, as the system is a little different, looks a little different this year, so that they can also help you be sure that everything is correct when you enter it. All right, thank you so much for participating, and hopefully this will be helpful for you and you can refer back to it as much as necessary to be able to successfully close your sale. Thank you again for all your hard work this year. We're really excited about the sale. We're really excited about the stories that we're hearing and all the great sales that are happening. All right, goodbye.